Welcome back. You're watching Citizen Extra. This is just the latest from the courts. The application to have election petition challenging Governor Mike Sonko's election stuck out has been dismissed. The court and the presiding judge there was Justice Msaga Mbogoli says that the deputy governor is not a mandatory party in an election petition. The petitioner was Japheth Muroko and Zacchaeus Okoth. Mike Sonko, as a party in that case, together with IEBC, wanted the case to be struck out, arguing that the petition filed by Japheth Muroko and Zacchaeus Okoth was defective for failing to enjoin Deputy Governor Polly Pigade in the case. So now this means, I believe, and the lawyers are here, the advocates, that the case will go on. But we'll join in Walter Zuia later on. We'll talk to her from the Milimani Courts or the High Court in Nairobi. Now in Mombasa, the annual Kenya Primary School Head Teachers Association Conference ends today, with Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i expected to address the head teachers. This is in the backdrop of changes introduced by the Teachers Service Commission and now objected to by teachers' unions, requiring secondary school principals to hold master's degrees and their primary school counterparts first degrees in education. Now the staffing changes by TSC also require head teachers and their deputies to be posted outside their home counties, among other issues. Let's now listen into the conference in Mombasa.
Outlawed by the Constitution or by any act of Parliament. What then is mega corruption? Okay, there are very many definitions. Of course, Johnson gives it. I summarize it down there that corruption is considered mega corruption.
Activity reports, it's important for you to write activity reports and to share feedback through minutes of meetings. The other thing we noticed during the recent standards assessment is that in most of the institutions, the minutes of meetings are not endorsed. What does it mean not to endorse minutes of meetings? There is no ownership. So if the minutes are not endorsed and you go ahead and implement, you have gone wrong. So minutes of meetings, that's an important communication strategy. Memos and circulars, that is mostly how we communicate with you. Establish rights-based platforms where children can give you information incognito. For instance, suggestion boxes. Establish rights-based clubs. Establish a communication strategy through the internet. For instance, social media, WhatsApp, Twitter. Communicate with your parents on WhatsApp, on Twitter. They have very many advantages. And when you have established an effective communication strategy, share information widely. For instance, we want to know what the last institutional standards assessment report said about your school. Is there anything for you to be worried about? Share it with the people who matter. It is in that report where we recommend that the school needs additional latrines, additional staffing. So if you keep it to yourself, it will be of no help. So share that report. And when you have conducted your own internal assessment, share your report with us so that we can see how to build you up. Share information on the student's profile. Share information on the teachers, learners, ratios per department. We need information on the infrastructure, learners, ratio by department. We need information on the learners, textbook ratios by departments, subjects. We need information on learners' progression and achievements. We need information on whether or not stakeholders are satisfied with the curriculum and the welfare programs. Because the reason our schools are burning is hidden therein. So before they begin to burn, share information so that if there is a deficit, we can step in and remediate. Finally, you need to monitor internally and review periodically. Monitor internally and review periodically. Meaning, you have established clearly defined performance targets for each department, subject, teacher, learner. Now,
Well, live on your screens now, Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai currently addressing the nation on several constitutional issues. Among them, we figure the debate on secession. You also expect him to address issues around the planned swearing-in ceremony by NASA on Jamhuri Day. Let's listen in.
Says earlier in the year, these two items relate to one, something that has been referred to as the People's Assemblies, and another that has been referred to as the swearing in of an alternative president. I'd like, as you know, to start by explaining why it is my responsibility to pronounce myself on this subject. As you know, the Attorney General is not only the chief legal advisor to the government, but he is also the custodian of the rule of law as provided by the Constitution itself. It therefore falls upon the Attorney General to clarify, whenever that becomes necessary, what the constitutional law of Kenya provides in respect of any political or legal controversies that may arise. The Constitution of Kenya and the various laws made thereunder have provided a very elaborate scheme that sets out the nature of our constitutional democracy, the republic that we have built, the process of electing the leadership of our country, including the process of settling grievances arising out of elections, and ultimately the process of swearing in an elected or elected officials, including the president and the deputy president. I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya provides in very clear language its own supremacy in the following terms. The Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic of Kenya, and it binds all persons and all state organs at both levels of government. It is therefore not possible in this country to have two sets of laws operating in respect of two different sets, either of individuals or of classes within our society. We have one constitution for all the people of Kenya. There have been media reports suggesting that following the swearing in of the president and his deputy after the repeat presidential election, there is proposed to be another swearing in of another person or persons on the 12th of December this year. Now, I want to start by saying, for the avoidance of any doubt, that the Constitution of Kenya provides in clear terms, in Article 2, Sub-Article 2, that no person may claim or exercise state authority except as authorized under the Constitution. No person may claim or exercise state authority except as authorized by the Constitution. A swearing in of any person not lawfully declared to have won an election by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and a swearing in that is not conducted by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya is a process wholly unanticipated by the Constitution and is null and void and illegal ab initio. I hope I have made that absolutely clear. Further, and in addition, the criminal law of the Republic of Kenya in Article 40 of the Penal Code provides or stipulates that that sort of process is high treason. It is high treason in respect of the person so involved and any other person facilitating that process. I do not wish to spend more time on that issue because it is clear. Let me come to the question of people's assemblies. Similarly, the so-called people's assemblies are institutions totally unknown to the Constitution of Kenya and totally unknown to the County Governments Act. They have purportedly been established in violation of the Constitution and the law. Parliament has not delegated any power of that nature. The county governments have no power to create institutions of that nature. What is the consequence, therefore? The consequence is that these institutions are unconstitutional, they are illegal, they are null and void. The persons involved in their creation are involved in extra-constitutional activity and may be visited by the full force of the law. The purpose of devolution was to shift power nearer to the people. The government of Kenya continues to be committed to that process. Pending before Parliament is a bill to further devolve power to townships, to create mayors and their deputies and other levels of managing government closer to the people. The so-called county assemblies do not feature in that legitimate scheme. Indeed, the High Court of Kenya at Kitui has already pronounced itself on this question in petition number 7 of 2017. Those who continue to purport to create these institutions are doing so contrary to the express provisions of a court order. And again, I would say they are undermining the rule of law and acting in contempt of court. Further, and finally, the creation of these illegal institutions by the use of funds that have been sent to the counties to run county operations is a violation of the Public Finance Management Act. And any person involved in the use of money legitimately voted by the National Assembly to do legitimate work in the counties and is now being used for this illegitimate purpose means that these monies can be surcharged to those persons who have been involved in that process. Not to mention that the government retains the right to review county expenditure where the counties have misappropriated. And this, there can be no other word to describe it, is a misappropriation of legitimate monies that should be serving the wananchis of those counties. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all I wanted to say about those two questions, and to affirm the commitment of the government to safeguard and protect the Constitution and the rule of law. Thank you very much.
It is not our intention to dilute that very authoritative statement from the Attorney General of the Republic all I want to assure Wananchi is that legitimacy of a government is not obtained through banditry politics. Legitimacy is obtained and acquired through integrity to the Constitution. And therefore the members of public should not panic. There should not be any anxiety. Those who commit criminal offenses shall be dealt as such. Our Constitution is deep and wide enough to accommodate any and every grievance. It was done through a most inclusive process of all classes of people, of all communities, professional groups, under a government of national reconciliation, and therefore even those who have grievances in NASA, the government has opened its hands and the law is wide and deep enough to address every concern. We do not need at this stage in development banditry politics that divert us from those activities that improve the life of every Kenyan. Thank you. I think the AG may take your questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are ready for questions. I'll take 1, 2, and the lady is sitting down first, and then we'll open for the next question. Okay, so we will start here, then you be second, and Madam sitting down will be third. Thank you.
Prof, you say that the government retains the right to review funds which have been allocated to counties that have passed people's assemblies, specifically county assemblies. What do you mean? Are you intending to take legal action, intending to hold funds? What exactly what are you doing?
Next question, Madam. Yes, please.
You talked about the plan, the swearing of Raila Odinga. My question is to the AG and to the spokesperson. The first question is, has NASA notified you of that plan swearing in that will take place on the 12th? And if they have, are you granted the permission? And if they've not, what are you going to do? Then
We'll take one question at a time, please, to allow everybody.
yeah, it's still on the same.
It's okay. We'll take the third question from you now. Thank you.
Oliver from Capital FM. You've described any attempt to swear in a president outside the Constitution as high treason. What penalties does that carry?
Thank you. We'll take these questions first.
I'll start with the first question about funds. The Public Finance Management Act requires that funds voted for use in the county government should be used for the purposes that have been identified and in the budgetary process provided for. Any county that uses funds legitimately sent to the county for health, for agriculture, for other devolved functions, in any way not provided for by the law, has misappropriated those funds. And those funds, A, the said officers can be surcharged, or the county itself can be called upon to account. And what would happen here, to my mind, is that money that should be looking at nursery school children has been diverted for activities that have absolutely no constitutional or legal basis. And the people who ultimately suffer here are the citizens of the county. Have we, as a government, been notified of any swearing in? I don't think the government of Kenya would be accepting a notification of a treasonable act. But to my mind, as far as this office is concerned, no notice of that nature has been given. Finally, what is the punishment for high treason? It is death.
I was not allowed to ask that question.
No, finished. That one is complete.
My other question, I've not finished. It was, will Raila swearing in should they go on ahead and plan to swear in Raila? Will his swearing in have any impact on President Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency?
have another question. Yes, please let's ask one just to be fair to each other.
Like to the AG, you're saying that the institution, the People's Assembly is illegal, but in your view, the National Super Alliance say their supporters say that they have issues that they would want to be addressed. What do you think is the right avenue, especially for the countries?
Has the government initiated any process so far to start addressing some of these issues? Because when we go to the ground, people feel deeply hurt and deeply offended. Some of them do not even recognize the election. Has the government started any initiative whatsoever to address some of these issues, even without the opposition coming to the government?
I think on the question of what avenues exist in a democracy such as ours for citizens to ventilate grievances, I think Kenya has one of the most expansive space for democratic expression on this continent. And we know, in fact, this whole concept of the People's Parliament has been taken from civil society groups that already exist. I know one that meets at Jivaji. I have listened to them several times. We do have space in this country. That is why in all the NGOs that we have, in all the civil society groups that we have, people are able to express themselves within that space. Question number 2, is the government doing anything about whatever grievances the public may have? Let us remind ourselves this, that under our constitutional democracy, the very reason we hold elections is so that the elected representatives of the people may meet in the forums provided by law to address the grievances that the people have. But having said that, we come from a tradition in this country where we have been debating the problems that we face for many, many years. I want to remind you how we got the Constitution 2010. We had years of public dialogue, including in Ufungamano, in Bomas, and in several other places. I want to assure you that going forward, this will continue. I think the president has committed himself to dialogue on all the issues. I think his deputy has done the same. I think the church leadership and the religious leadership of Kenya has done that. And I myself would be in favor of a process, an inclusive process going on. First and foremost, to provide a forum for reviewing whether the Constitution 2010 is working in the manner that we intended. Do we have enough members of parliament, or do we have too many? Have we devolved enough functions, or have we devolved functions that should get back? Do we need 2 houses of parliament, or do we need 1? How do we increase the participation of women and youth? And then several numerous other issues are up for debate. And going forward into 2018, 2019, this would be a very, very good period to review those issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't see. Maybe we let this one who I can't say, then the 2 of you. We'll take those 3 questions, and then continue.
My name is Jim Tribal from K24, and I wanted to find out what is the validity of an argument being fronted by a section of the opposition on the principle of separation of powers, and that the court cannot interfere with the operations of Parliament and by extension the County Assembly. Hence, their decision to render the ruling by the decision by the High Court in Kitui as null and void in essence on the People's Assembly issue.
Thank you. Those 2.
Okay.
Your last question.
My name is Luca Rich. I write for the Star newspaper. I have a question. I want your comment on Article 1 that the opposition is talking about, the Chapter 1. The opposition is talking about that allows the people to exercise their right directly. When does it apply? And maybe the very last one, a short one. You have described the purported oath as something that is null and void, not grounded in law. Somebody would wonder, why is the government worried in a process that is null and void?
Last question, please.
Naitwa Kennedy Wandera kutoka idhaa ya Sauti ya Amerika. Swali la kwanza ni kwamba uhisi kwamba kuna vipengele vyovyote labda katika katiba ambavyo vinaupa upinzani kumwapisha kiongozi wao, na pili, je, uhisi kwamba kuna masuala ambayo yana uzito zaidi ambayo serikali inafaa kuyapa kipaumbele katika mazungumzo ya nchi?
I think that you want to hear my view about an argument that says the separation of powers doctrine means that courts cannot interfere with what legislatures are doing. If the separation of powers doctrine means anything, it means the exact opposite. It means the courts exist to check what Parliament is doing and what the executive is doing. So that is an argument that is being made by a very uninformed group, if such a group exists. Article 1 of the Constitution: the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. That's, again, that is so self-evident. The people exercise their power directly when they go and vote. When they decide who will be the president of Kenya, it is a direct exercise of power. They don't send somebody to vote for them. That's why we don't have an electoral college like they have in America, where members of the electoral college can vote for you and determine your president. The people exercise power directly when they have a referendum. And in the referendum, they say it is proposed A or B, and the people say directly, not through any other intermediary. So the directness of the exercise of people's power is within the Constitution itself. It is not in order to overthrow the Constitution in any manner. Why is the government worried about a process that now is null and void? Because the government is always worried about the legality of processes. The government exists to protect law and order. When government is made aware that an illegal process is about to take place, government must be concerned because it must protect the law. Sasa sikukuelewa vizuri. Umesema umetoka.
Our spokesperson can take the question in Swahili.
No, but I don't want to give the impression that my Swahili is not good. I want it to be clear that it's his question I didn't understand. However, as my friend Eric has offered to answer, that you can. You got the question.
Thank you very much, Honorable AG. Suala ambalo nimeshika ni kwamba are there priorities? Kuna vitu ambazo serikali inafikiri zitatangulia mjadala wa kisiasa na mambo kama haya, kwa sababu haya mambo ni siasa. Na ukweli ni kwamba hapa nchini Kenya ni aibu, bado hatujaweza kuhakikisha kila Mkenya ana chakula kwa meza, na ni kwa sababu ya vitu ambazo zinaendesha uchumi. Ukiangalia jinsi tunavyo shughulikia maji, kila mwaka Mungu anatupea mvua nyingi sana msimu miezi michache, na tunawacha hayo maji yote yanaingia bahari ya Hindi, pahali ambapo maji hayahitajiki. Tunahitaji yale maji kukuza chakula. Kwa hivyo serikali inaangalia miradi ambayo inaangalia maisha ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Bei ya chakula haitoshuka mpaka pale ambapo tunazalisha chakula cha kutosha. Kwa hivyo mumeangalia Thwake Dam. Kuna jambo ambalo wananchi wamepewa propaganda nyingi sana kuhusu kitu kama ugatuzi, devolution. Umeona serikali punde tu tulipomaliza hivi jana, serikali imewachilia bilioni 70 ndiposa sehemu za gatuzi zianze na ziweze kupewa motisha kushughulikia mambo ambayo yanaweza kufanya the local units, the devolved units zisaidia wananchi kujitegemea, sio kutegemea shilingi 200 kutoka kwa mwanasiasa. Kwa hivyo the government sees at a very critical priorities the cogwheels that move the economy, infrastructure, water management and all that, and of course plans that harness the collective strength of our people to move them from a poor standard of living to a better standard of living. Otherwise, if you harness this power through wave after wave of propaganda to criminalize any and every process, then we are not getting anywhere. We see it as a priority, those matters, because the concept of marginalization, which embitters sections of the citizens, shall not be addressed properly until the citizen, the small mwananchi, is economically empowered. So uchumi na maisha bora ya wananchi, health, elimu, ni vitu ambazo lazima tuzipe kipaumbele katika serikali, hata tukiendelea na mjadala wa kisiasa. Asanteni.
Samahani, nadhani maswali yangu hayajajibiwa. Swali nilouliza ni kwamba je, vipo vipengele vyovyote vya kisheria ambavyo upinzani unaweza kuvitumia kuapisha Raila Odinga? Na swali la pili,
nafikiri jibu ya swali hilo. Naam.
Swali la pili ni kwamba serikali najua inatambua kwamba kuna masuala mazito ambayo upinzani inayazungumzia. Je, mnaweza kuyapa masuala kama hayo kipaumbele kabla Odinga kuapishwa?
Wacha nikukumbushe kwamba kila constituency hapa nchini Kenya iko na mbunge. Kila Mkenya saa hii ako na mbunge, ako na women rep, na ako na senator. Kwa hivyo
that is an address at the State Law Office where Attorney General Githu Muigai has been addressing the media, and he said it is high treason in the person involved or any other person facilitating the process of swearing in. We were talking about this earlier, and Raila Odinga clearly, from what he said, and dismissing the Western powers and especially the US, who are trying to tell him to avoid this process next week on Tuesday, Jamhuri Day, to shelve the swearing in plans they have. Now, Githu Muigai, Attorney General, saying this and quoting the penal code. He's also talked about people's assemblies being illegal, basing it on a High Court order that was from a High Court ruling in Kitui. So far, 11 counties have passed this. In fact, 12 counties have passed this motion. So very briefly, let me get your winding comments from what the Attorney General has said. I'll start with the judge.
I do think, this is my personal and honest opinion, I do not see Raila Odinga being sworn in. And I say so because the path...
You don't see it happening? I
don't see it happening, and I don't see him being sworn. It's an initiative that is political in nature for now, but I do think come the day, the narrative is not going to be him being sworn in. He can't be installed in any other way, but taking an oath as an executive of the Republic of Kenya, he won't do it for two reasons. I do know he understands the nature and the text of the Constitution. I also do know that he has not only a municipal environment to take care of, a local reputation to keep, but I do know that he is more than we see him as a Kenyan. He has an international reputation worth preserving. And therefore, what he needs to do is use the clarion call as he has now and subject the mass that support him more galvanized towards a cause higher than him being sworn, including the reforms. I also think in his mind that he needs to package his people into a movement so that as much as possible, the culmination of all this journey he's walked is reforms and not a complete illegality into him committing a crime and therefore a fall from grace to grass politically by subjecting him into a punitive punishment where the tools of violence, the tools of the security apparatus are not with him, but they're beholden to the opposition that he opposes, meaning the government.
Okay.
Well, Osena, I think there are two things here. One, I said earlier that I think the swearing in activity is a form of civil disobedience, so extension of their strategy around civil disobedience. To that extent, it's very effective because it perpetuates the narration that the narrative that, look, we don't recognize this government and we are going to have a parallel event, and this needs some further negotiation so that, look, Kenya needs to stabilize again. Two, I think that the government is grossly underestimating, particularly if you saw the body language of Githu and Professor Githu Bugai and the spokesperson, they are grossly underestimating NASA's strategy. They are grossly underestimating the impact it might have on the country, particularly if we continue with these protests and boycotts and all this. And importantly, they are naively thinking that instruments of the state, which in this case, what he was trying to say is really force, are adequate to contain this. It won't happen that way. It's, for example, said like, this is high treason and all that. All he has said is everything any average lawyer agrees with. Before you even go into the details, everyone agrees that, penalty for high treason is death and all that. Nothing special. But the point is, are you trying to tell us that if Raila is sworn on Tuesday, then you will kill him? Or that you'll take him to court? And what's the consequence of that, taking Raila or Orengo and all that to court?
Is it advisable that he continues this process now that you're saying he has done the obvious thing of quoting the law, but it is the law? The
three of us are in agreement. We've said here for about 2 hours now that the real solution is dialogue.
Okay.
You don't tell a country which is polarized, divided over half and all that, look, that, if you conduct a ceremony, even if it is hidden ceremony somewhere in Raila's house, then, there's high treason, we are going to take you to court. Because I'm very sure that this government does not have capacity to contain a situation where they arrest Raila, detain him. You can't imagine the consequence. So it's high time that our friends in government, whatever that means, consider engaging in constructive dialogue, because we all know again that the swearing in won't make police loyal to Raila. It certainly will make his base more loyal, and of course it will intensify stuff like civil disobedience. But if you overreact, then you see it will be worse. Is it an issue of overreacting, Dr. Mukwana? Or is it stating the law as it is?
No, it's not overreacting, Hussein. We are all in agreement that the swearing in from the first of it, and even in detail, runs contrary to the constitutional provisions. I do not think we need to belabor that point. But as I've asked, do you and I think that Honorable Raila Odinga does not have competent lawyers to advise him and who know what Professor Githu is reiterating? Of course he knows. And that is why you must divorce this argument from all these legalese and go to the political battle that it is. Raila Odinga, the enigma of Kenyan politics as has been described by his authors, sometimes is difficult to be predicted. If you read the history of Raila from 1982, sometimes even when he is at his lowest moment and everybody has written him off, he pulls a surprise, including dissolving his own NDP in 2001 to join KANU, only to come out with every member of KANU, including the vice president then. So my view is that I do not know what Raila will do. He may decide to be sworn in, the bishops might intervene and prevail upon him, and he'll say, were it not for the intervention, I was going to be sworn in. Until then, we cannot be for sure. However, one thing that is clear, that the government needs to be careful in its response to this particular day. Because you do not prescribe a painkiller for a condition that does not need a painkiller. It's right to condemn the way they have done, but their response on that day must be commensurate and avoid giving the opposition a momentum to take this further.
Okay. Dr. Alutalala Mukwana, Dr. Eric Omolo, and George Kethi, all advocates, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Thank you for watching Citizen Extra. I'm Hussein Mohammed. Citizen Extra continues in the next hour with our Swahili team, and that will be Salim Swaleh. Stay tuned.